All right, so I'm going to go ahead and show my whole screen just so that you can see what we are looking at in the background, which you'll see what I'm talking about in just a minute. Oh, I guess Annie is just going to stick around today. Anyway, so when we first open InDesign, which this is the icon for InDesign, you'll see it in your Creative Cloud folder just like you would with Illustrator. So when we open it up, this is what we see. So we have some common preset designs, just like we had in Illustrator, but you can select one of those and say create new. But I actually want to show you some more detailed presets. So it should have popped up like this, but I moved, excuse me, I moved it over earlier so that we can see in the background what's going on. So if you come down at the very bottom of this menu by close and create, there's a little preview button, and that allows us to preview our changes that we're making on our actual document that we're creating. The first tip I'm going to give you is, as tempting as it is, don't press enter at any time until you're ready to actually create the document. So enter equals create. So if you're not ready yet, don't push create. So InDesign actually gives us all of these preset sizes, very much like Illustrator did. You have for print, web, and mobile. So it has all the different iPhone sizes. Web is standard page sizes for web page, and then print, standard print, so magazine, etc. sizes. If you come down though on all of these, InDesign gives you some templates to kind of work off of. I have nothing against these. However, if you use them, I want you to use them enough to make them your own, okay? So like if you are looking for a brochure, a trifold brochure design, and you're not quite sure how to lay that out, yeah, go ahead and start with this restaurant menu here. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't have created a menu with this with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items here, 3 items here, 2, and then a picture in the middle. You see what I'm saying? I want you to mix it up and make it your own design. But the templates are great to start with. Just like in Illustrator, if we wanted to make all these changes to our document and then save it as a preset design, we could change the name here and then we could find it later under saved, but I don't really want to save it today, so we're not going to. Let me minimize myself just in case you aren't able to see. So the first thing we're going to do is change the units. So this is really the standard unit for printing or points, but I'm really going to stick to either inches or pixels just because that's what I'm most comfortable in. So if we go to inches, it automatically, since we have letters selected, it goes to 8.5 by 11. So for your assignment, for example, you would change it to 5.5. Not that you're going to make this in Illustrator today, excuse me, but if you were going to make it later, that's how you would change that size. And as you can see in the preview, it went ahead and changed the size of our document for us. And it knows now that the orientation is horizontal. I'm going to change it back though to 11, which it knows is vertical because our height is bigger than our width. You can also just change it here. You can change the number of pages in your document. So as you can see in the background, right now we have 6 pages. So in InDesign, which I'll show you later, if you look at the pages panel, which you can also get to by going to view and then pages, it shows you your entire document. So as you design, all these pages will be filled up with what you put in there. But right now we have 6 pages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So some of these pages over here are actually facing pages. So page 2 and page 3, page 4 and page 5, but 1 and 6 stand alone. So let me show you what I mean real quick by facing pages. And I hope that I'm big enough for y'all to be able to see this. So facing pages are the pages in magazines that are bound together, that face one another. So when we're thinking about our layout, if you have facing pages, you would like them to look good together. And sometimes you might even have a design that bleeds over from one page into the next. So it's really best to be able to design them as they will appear in the magazine. So I hope y'all can see this. So if our 6-page design over here were a magazine, the page 1 would be the cover by itself. You'd have page 2, page 3, which probably looks backwards to y'all, but you know, it's the left and then the right. Page 4, page 5, and then page 6 would be the back cover. But let's say though that you are designing a magazine layout and you don't have the cover, you don't have a single page at all, you only have facing pages. Well, that's really frustrating then because you have this single page by itself. So one way that we can remedy that is to come over and change our start number to 2 instead of 1. And then automatically your first page is going to be a facing page with page 2. It's numbered wrong, but you understand. I'm going to change that back to 1 though real quick. Again, don't press enter. Remember that'll take you out of into Illustrator, but it'll create your document. So right now our page is set up to have 1 column. So it goes all the way around. But InDesign will go ahead and break it up for you into multiple columns. Well, maybe. Are you going to do that for us today? Oh, I need to click off of it. No. Well, normally it should show up in our preview over here. Let me turn that on and off. Huh. I'm not really sure what it's doing. Let me try to mess with the margins real quick. Well, we'll just have to see when we open it in a minute. So for columns, so it will break up this page for you, and you'll see in just a second. We have it set on 3 columns, but actually I'm going to move it down to 2 because that's kind of the normal layout for a magazine would be 2 columns, depending on the magazine, but universally, you know, 2 columns is pretty standard. When you create columns though, that does not necessarily mean that, or it doesn't mean that it set up text blocks for you. You still have to go in and put those in. But the reason that so like this page here, it would have been created with 2 columns in InDesign, but later they went back and they added like this little, what I'm trying to say, this pull quote in the middle here. And like the title here, it goes all the way across, but in the background, when they were designing it, you still would have seen the line right here for the 2 columns. It also looks like that they made this space between the 2 columns. So your gutter, your column gutter, a little bigger. And the way that you do that is right here in this column gutter area. Your margins are going to be just like if you're working in Word, it's going to be the area between your text and the edge of the paper. So standard would be 1/2 inch, but of course it's going to be different for every design and publication. For instance, in this one, you can see that the sides are probably a little bigger than 1/2 inch. The bottom is maybe 1/2 inch. And then the top, I'm not sure because they have a title there. If we go to a different page, I would say that might be about 1/2 inch. Anyway, but you can either change all of these together at once, because we have our chain link on, or you can break the chain and make each of them different. Our bleed is going to be just like in Illustrator. It's going to be this red line here, and it allows you to make your design extend beyond your page. So again, that's going to be helpful on designs where you want the color or the image to go all the way to the edge. So like on this page, this photo goes all the way to the edge here, right? There's not, oh my goodness, it's so difficult with the mirror thing. So there's not any white beyond that. It just goes all the way to the edge. So that means that that picture was drug out all the way into the bleed to make sure when it went to the printer that it didn't get cut off and end up with an ugly white mark on accident around it. And then your slug is actually kind of unique to print and print layout and design. So I wish it would show you in the preview, but I guess it's not going to. So this is typically going to show up as like, I think it's a blue line in InDesign. I don't really use a slug often, but what it is a space for everyone to write notes in. So, you know, with InDesign, that kind of isn't necessary now. We have different ways that we can leave notes for one another in here. And we have the whole workspace, so the whole gray space behind it if we really wanted to leave notes. But traditionally, that's what the slug is for. Maybe there's another use for it beyond that, but like I said, I don't really use it, so I'm not quite sure about that. All right, so let's go ahead and create this document.